Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about Dawnshard, spoiler-free, and specifically, do you need to read it before Rhythm of War? At this point, Rhythm of War has already been released, so I'm a little bit late to making this a relevant video, but there's still people that are wondering, so hey, let's talk about it. First thing I'll mention is that this is only released on ebook right now, and the physical copy and the audio copy won't be released for about a year, at least at the time that I'm filming this. That's what's been said. And that was, well, I actually thought I wasn't going to be able to read Dawnshard because of that, because I'm dyslexic and reading on ebook is significantly harder for me than physical or audio because for whatever reason, letters and words get jumbled way more on a screen than they do on a page. So I didn't think I was going to be able to read this, but then a friend of mine ended up doing a live reading on my Discord. I attended the live readings, and that's how I consume this story. So this is going to be a really quick review, just giving you my overall thoughts of it and a little bit of context since I got an advanced reader copy of Rhythm of War and I read that first. We can talk a little bit about how necessary it is to read it first. So, was it essential or was it an edge dancer? I personally really enjoyed Edge Dancer because Lift is one of my favorite characters and she's very much a side character in the series, so getting to spend more time with her was a joy to me. Was it necessary to read before moving forward? I say no, because there was really only one big piece of information that we got from Lift that was was really important to the next book, and it's something that you could have easily picked up on context in the next book. So I loved Edge Dancer, but you can easily move forward without Edge Dancer. It adds to the story, but it's not necessary. It's a side quest that gives a little bit of information. Dawnshard is not that, or at least I don't anticipate it's going to stay that. So my thoughts on Dawnshard, spoiler free as far as relevancy goes, it is another really fun side quest. I would argue more engaging. This one is more engaging than Edge Dancer. We follow Lopin and Risen. I actually don't know how to say her name correctly. I think it's Risen, which I was really happy about because those are two characters that I was really excited to hang out with in Rhythm of War, and they were two of the characters that I wish had more page time in Rhythm of War, and Dawnshard really scratched that itch. It also added a lot more depth to both of their characters, and there's a big emphasis on Risen. Ooh, how spoiler free are we gonna go? Am I gonna spoil things from previous books that have been out for a while? I guess mild spoiler, Risen's new disability. There's a big emphasis on that and on well, her internal struggle and her internal feelings about that, which is very Sanderson-esque. He loves going really deep into people's mental states, right? So naturally, he's going to put a big emphasis on that. As someone who's born with a really rare disease and who has spent good chunks of my time using wheelchairs on and off. It wasn't anything near what Risen, it wasn't the same thing as what Risen has gone through, but I get her headspace a lot. And of course, Sanderson always does a ton of research whenever he wants to explore mental health and when he wants to go deeper into that kind of thing. And he obviously did with this as well. And my situation is different from Risen's, but I really liked the way he explored the way she was processing her new physical condition based off of things outside of her control, because it was really reflective of how I felt. Lopin was also his side quest was really interesting because we also went a lot deeper into, I don't want to say because it's kind of near the end. We go a lot deeper with Lopin too, and I talked with Eric from the 17th Shard, and he always felt like Lopin grated on him a little bit because his humor didn't work for him, and this made him like Lopin. So I think if you are hesitant about Lopin getting a lot of page time, if that's you, then you may be happy with this. I personally have always enjoyed Lopin in small doses, never really felt like I needed a ton more of him, but I liked having him around, and having a ton more of him in this worked really well. Back on track, is it necessary for Rhythm of War? No, it's not. I wish I had read it before Rhythm of War because there are so many Cosmere connections in Rhythm of War, and there are so many Cosmere connections in Dawnshard, And a lot of the world, Rhythm of War is a big world building book. I mean, they all are, but Rhythm of War is probably the most of the four. And a lot of the world deepening that we got in Rhythm of War, Dawnshard, I think if I had read that first, it would have added a good amount of context to that would have made it feel even bigger to me. It's not necessary, but it would have been cool to have had that context. So I do wish I had read it first, but it's absolutely not necessary to read it first. There's a lot of reveals that happen in Dawnshard that I think there's no way it won't be relevant to book 5. I think that I'm definitely going to reread Dawnshard before we get book 5 because I think it will absolutely be essential for what's coming, but it's not essential for what we just got for Rhythm of War. So if you just got Rhythm of War in the mail and you're trying to decide, do I read this ebook first or can I just dive into this book that I'm so excited about? The answer is you can dive in. I think that Dawnshard is worth the read and it does add to the story quite a bit, but it's absolutely not necessary. So if you can't wait and you don't want a side quest, you want the big chunker of a book, go for it. Do it. You're fine. I recommend reading it first, but it's also not necessary. There was only one chapter in Rhythm of War that I read and thought, oh, I need to read Dawnshard to get context for what they're talking about. I need Dawnshard to fully understand what's happening here. There was only one, and it was an interlude, and it wasn't really long. But that said, now that I have read Dawnshard, there are several other scenes that I plan on rereading because they add fresh context and perspective, and I think it just will make those scenes more alive and more exciting. But I didn't need Dawnshard to understand those scenes the first time. My thoughts on Dawnshard: this was a really fun side quest that I think is a side quest at the moment, but I think will, by book 5, not be a side quest. It will be necessary reading to get the full effect of book 5. It was such a fun side quest. I had a blast reading it, and there were so many Cosmere revelations in it that I think especially the Sanderson super nerds are going to be so excited. Everybody that loves all the Cosmere connections, everybody that loves all the intricate details that Sanderson puts into his world, so excited. And the people that aren't as hyped about that sort of element in the Stormlight Archive, I think you're still gonna have a great time with it because it's still a really fun story that still delivers very important information for the series as a whole. But it's not absolutely essential to read it before book 4, so you're safe to go into book 4 without having read it if that's where the majority of your hype is. I do wish this had come out earlier so that more people would have a chance to read it before wanting to dive into book 4, but yeah, you're safe either way, but it's well worth the read. So read it anyway. If you choose to read Rhythm of War first, read it after Rhythm of War because it's a great story. Those are my spoiler-free thoughts about Dawnshard. I had a blast reading it. It was so much fun, and I highly recommend it. Definitely read it after you finish Rhythm of War, or if you're like me and ebooks are not accessible to you or convenient to you, definitely read it when the physical and audio come out. Once again, I'm just so hyped for book 5 because book 4 was such great setup for book 5. So now that I have Dawnshard, I'm even more hyped for book 5, but it'll be a minute, so we can all wait together. Be sure to chat with me more about this in the comments. If you've already read Dawnshard and you want to talk spoilers, do the spoiler space thing so that people can choose not to get spoiled. But whether you've read it or not, be sure to chat with me more. I post videos every Tuesday through Friday. I'll see you guys again soon. Bye.